and get him work and see where he's at. So I really don't have a gauge on a Sunday yet for Timmy. The biggest thing right now is to see how he progresses in practice and to see where he's at before we actually get him going.
What do you imagine the hardest transition for him back is going to be?
Well, the biggest thing up front is just being able to push bodies. You know, it won't just be conditioning up front because he's not a DB. You know, he's got to push 300, 600 pounds. So just him being able to carry that and being able to get used to that type of, like I like to say, violence up front is going to be the biggest transition.
Do you have a sense of how conditioned he is right now?
Yeah, he looks like he's in great shape. We visited our strength staff. They said he's progressing very, very well. But again, it'll come down to football conditioning, not just the anaerobic part of it. And so can he maintain that situation for 3-4 quarters? That'll be the big test.
What did you guys miss without him?
You miss a guy that, in my mind, who, you know, he wasn't great on, I don't want to say he wasn't great. He didn't get a lot of opportunities to rush on third down. But he was a guy on early downs that could win one-on-one. He was a great compliment to Fletcher in that regard. So you miss that. You miss another guy who can win a one-on-one for you at times.
In terms of going back to being in football shape, you had a little bit of that with Brandon at the beginning of the season.
Absolutely.
What did you see from him, and did you see an improvement in that over the course of the first 8 weeks?
Week to week, Brandon Graham continually progressed. But again, the one thing you can't duplicate compared to other positions is the physicality of being in the trenches and the constant, not only being in anaerobic conditioning, but just your play strength, being able to push and move bodies and get off blocks. So it took time, and right now I think he's right at the right place at the right time to make a great push towards the last 8 games.
It feels like we've seen glimpses of Tim Jernigan just maybe coming out of the locker room or coming out of the complex up into this point of the season. What has he been doing behind the scenes that we haven't seen to get back to this point?
Well, he's really been working with our strength and conditioning staff. He's been great with our medical staff in regards to doing the things that they've asked him to do. And the one thing that I appreciate more than anything, he's in shape. And to me, that's really important. Now, that'll make this next transition not easier, but it'll be more complimentary for it.
So, Coach Ward's time.
Is that something that just the luck of the draw there?
So I still want to keep putting both Brandon and Michael inside third down.
Well, you know, I don't know if you can, you dictate third downs on first and second down. And one thing we've been able to do is, I always tell the guys, stop the run, have some fun. So if we can stop the run, we'll have more third down opportunities. And so that's what we've got to focus on. Early downs dictate everything. So that's where we've got to be our best.
You should put that on a T-shirt.
It seemed that the reason he didn't play for Josh last year is at 4 ends he wanted to get on the field.
Well, that was definitely a contribution to it. But it wasn't just because they were ends. I thought they gave us the best chances to win one-on-ones. If I've got 2 tackles, if I got 3 tackles that can do that, well, we obviously like that too. So it got down to who gave us the best opportunities to win on third down. And so Timmy's one of those guys. He may not be in 4-1. He might not be in the top 4, but he might be 4B. Put in that regard.
Jim Schwartz was talking yesterday about some of the struggles you guys have had in containing running quarterbacks. Is that something that the defensive line has to worry about, or is that more of a back seven?
It's a group effort. I mean, and Jim gets that. One thing about him, he understands front play, and he realizes that it's a group effort. Now, a lot of that is placed on the defensive line. But, we've got to do a great job, especially with the athletic quarterbacks that we face, of staying alive in our rushes. And that means a lot of different things. We won't get into that. But what it does do is everybody's got to stay alive and have the ability to win one-on-ones.
So what are the coaching points there?
Stay alive in the rushes, stay off the ground. Be able to create separation, get off blocks, just the basics.
Because you went light with Josh as the 4th guy, and heavy with the 3. Jim said that part of that had to do with the fact that it was the bye coming up. You guys could enter the tank. But is there any worry with 3 of those guys being over 30 on the edges? They're doing it too much?
Not really. I think, we have a great plan throughout the week to make sure those guys can be at their optimum level on Sunday. I think that's the biggest key is that, as coaches, you got to be really strategic in regards to how you work these guys throughout the week. They've been in this league 10, 12 years. They've seen a lot of double teams, so there's certain things they may not need to see. And that gives your younger guys a chance to develop and take some of those reps. And we've got a good young group that we have a chance to really coach on a week-to-week basis. So I think we do a good job of getting those guys ready, getting them the reps they need to see throughout the week where they can kind of empty their tanks on Sunday.
Seems like Michael Bennett has really come on the last month. I don't know if that's a fair assessment or not, but what have you seen out of him the more that he's played in the scheme?
He's beginning to be comfortable in the scheme. Mike's been in this type of scheme conceptually for a long time, but just the verbiage, the terminology now is beginning to be comfortable with him. And not only that, he's had a chance to be with the guys and understand the nuances of rushing with a guy, of playing next to certain guys like Fletcher. So you begin to see that continuity show up a little bit.
So Coach Schwartz talked about how Timmy has an infectious smile, infectious personality. What's it been like for him just seeing him around now that he's back, getting closer to back on the field?
He's excited.
Yeah.
He's like most guys. You play this game for a lot of reasons, but he enjoys the camaraderie. He loves being back in the locker room and being a part of the contribution more than anything. So he's excited. I'm excited for him, and so we'll see what this next week bears for us.
Fletcher was pretty honest, as you know, about his desire to be a defensive player of the candidate. Is he having that caliber?
I think most of the season, Fletcher's been pretty dominant to the point where people give Fletcher a lot of attention, a lot of resources are applied to number 91 throughout the week. So what Fletcher does is what he's done, in my mind, for the last few years. He makes the opportunity for one-on-ones across the board for everyone else, because if you go back and study the video, he demands double teams almost on every snap. Obviously, there are things we got to keep working on to improve. There's no finished products, but I think he's having a really solid season.
Given Tim's absence, it would be easy for him to get a little frustrated. It doesn't seem to be happening.
It doesn't, but like anybody, he wants to find ways to help the team, and again, it can be a little frustrating for him at times, but he understands. I told him when they quit double teaming, it's time for you to retire. That means you no longer have that respect, and so he gets it and understands the bigger picture.
He's embraced the leadership role this year. I mean, does it surprise you at all how important that's been to him?
Yes and no. Fletcher's always been a guy who's led by example. I mean, we've known each other for quite a few years, but to see that next level for him, to be able to communicate it and put his thoughts out to the public, I think that's huge. And I think that should be. I've never seen a great leader who doesn't speak, and so he's doing a good job of that.
What are sort of the biggest differences of Fletcher from knowing him in college to now?
Really? I mean, not much. He's still the same guy. He's pretty simplistic in what he does. I think, like I said, the biggest thing that has transpired is he's become more of a vocal leader. That would be the biggest thing that I would say about him.
Does he get on guys?
He knows how to communicate and get his point across. I don't know if getting on is the right term, because you got so many veterans in this group. They know when they make a mistake. So I think a lot of it is just, just like when you beat guys up when they make a mistake, I think these guys do a great job of lifting each other up when they make mistakes. And so, and then being able to communicate what has to be done from that point. Anybody can yell, but to communicate solutions, I think that's where this group of guys are at right now. They do a great job of complimenting each other.
How's Tim's return to affect or help out?
I think Timmy affects just our defense. It gives us another really good player. It adds depth to a roster inside, which I think that's going to be big for us for this next 8 games. And so overall, it's not just a Haloti thing. I think it adds overall depth to our interior.
It seemed when you signed the plan was to have him in that Bo Allen role and maybe the number 2 defensive tackle role. Is he better suited at his age to play that number 3 role?
Well, I think week to week varies on what you're going to see, so they're all like chess pieces, some weeks you're going to have a team that's committed to the run game, like we'll see from Dallas, and then sometimes you got teams that are throwing the ball all over the field. And so what it does is it gives you that piece where you can have a guy who can really anchor inside and still give you a push in the pocket.
Are there any plays from the season that stand out in terms of Fletcher doing something special?
Well, I know early on in the season, watching him win blocks versus Tampa early, he's on a tear. As you start beginning the season, he got a lot of one-on-one attention. That didn't last very long because he was able to win a lot of one-on-ones early, and then all of a sudden you start seeing the multiple protections that came to him, the slides. You know, you get running backs at times, chipping Fletcher. So, you know, like I said, when that stops happening, we got a problem. Right now, it's a good problem to have.
What is, when you're facing double teams or extra attention, what are things that he can do to combat that versus when it's just one-on-one?
Well, you know, there are a lot of things, and obviously that goes into game planning. But you got everything from, you know, multiple stunts up front that you can use to bringing pressure. So we got a lot of different options in our toolbox. But the biggest thing is when you talk about a guy demanding that type of resources, that the guys around him winning their one-on-ones, because they're going to get the one-on-one opportunities, and that's where you got to win.
Overall, your defense hasn't generated the takeaways that it generated last season. Is that something you talk to your guys about reaching out for the quarterback's arm and things like that?
Well, we do. You get what you emphasize, and we're always talking about, number one, you know, being able to play with great technique, and then once you're able to play with technique, being able to tackle, and gang tackling a lot of times creates turnovers. So the more guys that we can get around the ball, the more opportunities we're going to have to create some of those turnovers. So we'll just keep emphasizing that throughout the year, and hopefully it keeps improving. We were fortunate last week to get a few turnovers, which were big in the game.